We finally have change in Vancouver. Head coach Travis Green has been relieved of his duties. We'll discuss the situation coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some breaking news from the NHL tonight. Just in the past little bit here, Elliotte Friedman has reported on Twitter that the Vancouver Canucks have indeed made a coaching change. There's no clear word on exactly when the Canucks are going to announce this. It could come this evening, could come tomorrow, but he's been able to confirm that Green is out as head coach of the Canucks, and Friedman's been able to confirm that Green's replacement will be former head coach in the NHL, Bruce Boudreau. Boudreau has a long-time NHL record, coaching for a variety of teams, including the Washington Capitals, Anaheim Ducks, and Minnesota Wild. He's coached close to 1,000 games, has well over 500 victories. Certainly, you can make an argument he's one of the more successful NHL coaches in NHL history. So certainly some interesting developments in Vancouver. They've had a terrible start to the season after a couple of victories over teams like Montreal, which was a close game, in Ottawa. They went on to have another embarrassing loss against the Pittsburgh Penguins. As much as it wasn't a horrific score, 4-1, it was really, in my opinion, a much more lopsided game than the score indicated. So to me, like I mentioned before, as much as I think Travis Green is a good coach, and I don't entirely blame everything on him, I don't think that's fair at all. I had a funny feeling he might be like the scapegoat here. Clearly, ownership had to agree to this change. They had to have their new man in place. As we said before, the Aquilinis don't tend to make changes when it comes to coaches or GMs, when it comes to not having their new man in place. They like to do their research and figure that out, have the new person hired before the other person goes out the door. So clearly they've been working on this likely for a little while. We had heard back, I think probably about a week and a half ago, from Elliotte Friedman that they were seriously considering making the coaching change, and that they may not, make the official announcement or make the move until they've determined who they want to take over. So obviously Green has been the head coach in Vancouver since 2017. Saw, mild success, but not anywhere near the level that the team was hoping for. But to be completely honest, I blame a lot of the team's issues on Jim Benning. I don't think that the way the team is constructed is conducive to having a lot more success than what they're having. I think the blue line is a major issue, and they've obviously overspent on a lot of contracts over the years. I understand that they were able to move on from a lot of those contracts recently, especially in that Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Connor Garland trade. But again, I like Garland. I'm not really sure OEL was a great pickup, especially considering what he earns for income, what his cap hit is. I don't know. Jim Benning has been there a long time. They've had a way too long of a rebuild, in my opinion, and this team really should be well out of the rebuild. They saw some success in the bubble playoffs after the return to hockey, after the pandemic shut the NHL down. I think that might have raised expectations higher than maybe they should have been, and now we find ourselves here. Although I don't really think on paper this team is a last place team in their division. I don't think they're playing to that level. To me, something seems off with Pettersson. I can't explain that. I'm not sure if that's what that is, really. That just seems weird. He's a shell of his former self. And you can tell at times that Travis Green almost wanted to be put out of his misery. I think he had so many times the look on his face was like he just didn't know what else to do, didn't know what other buttons to push. And I think he kind of wanted out. But he just signed a 2-year contract extension this past offseason. They made him wait a long time before extending him, and now he's out. So it's certainly going to cost management a decent amount of money to pay him to not work for them for the remaining part of this year and all of next year. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, this should be officially announced soon. I do think Bruce Boudreau will be a good coach. He's very offensively minded. Obviously, look at what he's done before with teams like the Ducks and the Capitals. Of course, he was very successful in those 10 years as well, more so than his time in Minnesota, and had some very highly rated offensive teams. They had some big offensive weapons in Vancouver, so it'll be interesting to see the difference in style, what he can do. But I think this team is far from being out of the woods, from being in a situation where they can just automatically turn things around. Will they get a push from a coaching change? It's possible. We see it happen in NHL all the time, where a team makes a coaching change and they can certainly get better results. But to me, they also need to do some moves on the roster, which is at the GM level, to make this better too. So I don't know what this means for Jim Benning. No word on his dismissal. typically, I think if Benning was going to be let go, I would think that this would be done in together, not one at a time here. You don't usually see a GM be allowed to bring in a new coach and then the GM be let go. Bruce Boudreau already went through that in Minnesota, where he was brought in and went through a GM change but stayed on. And it can be a little bit weird, and you kind of feel like the new GM, in that case it was Bill Guerin, kind of wants to do their own people, their own guy, and their own style, and it doesn't usually work out for the coach long term. So to me, I really have doubts that Jim Benning is going to be let go anytime soon. I know there's been a lot of fire Benning chants at Canuck games recently, especially the last game, but I don't think it's happening. I think this is the change we're going to see. Maybe we see a trade or two, see what they can do, but we'll see if Bruce Boudreau can get things turned around. Let me know your thoughts on this change in Vancouver down below in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.